Hi everybody, and welcome to our fourth week of class starting already. So we're about a quarter of the way through already, believe it or not. So hopefully you're getting used to the kind of the cadence of the class, and that this really goes by the week. The best thing I can suggest to you is to read the chapter that we have due that week. Some weeks there's going to be two, so get prepared for that. But, read the chapter that we have and then get the homework done. At least make an attempt to do it by Wednesday. It just really helps if you don't paint yourself into a corner and kind of, it's not that uncommon for students to get snagged on a problem or two. And rather than panic trying to get it done, you get the chance to kind of really try to figure it out. Okay, so that's where we're at. So we're moving along pretty well right now. We're going to take a look at the text here real quick, but I wanted to start by showing the contents again, because it's really the structure of the course. So we basically talked about we're in the second part of the class, which is financial analysis and planning. This week we're going to wrap that up when we talk about operating and financial leverage. And then we're going to move into a section called working capital management, which is a very important part of finance. And we're going to leverage the things that we've learned when we go into those chapters 6, 7, and 8. And then ultimately we're going to take that and move into another section called the capital budgeting process, where we talk about how do we capitalize the firm, basically. And then that also continues into part 5, which is long-term financing, which is just a little bit different take on it than the working capital management, which is typically shorter term. Okay, so anyway, all that aside, that is the cadence and the flow of the class. There is a logical order to it. And so this week we're going to be wrapping up our second section. Last week we talked about forecasting and the role that forecasting plays in financial management. This week we're moving to the topic of something called leverage, which is an important concept in finance. And it's broken out into two parts. We think about operating leverage and we talk about financial leverage. And then when we kind of put them together, we talk about something called combined leverage. So, and you're going to get a chance to work through all those. These are very basic but important points and concepts to learn about finance. So, basically leverage is the ability for us to utilize the firm to actually help create the capital required to make it all work. So, and so the difference between so first off, I want to be able to define leverage and what it is and what it means. We are going to talk about something called break-even analysis, why it's used. Quite honestly, it isn't used that often, practically speaking, but it is it's an important concept because it starts to put into terms what we're trying to get out of the investments that we make. And then I want you to be able to describe what operating leverage is, and also show what financial leverage is, and what those things indicate to the firm in terms of, as an investor, for example, you look at highly leveraged firms and say, gee, they might be pretty risky. So, but having said that, in some industries, you really don't have too many choices. For example, from an operating leverage standpoint, the airline industry, or even just think about a hotel. The cost of building a big hotel is huge, it just costs a lot, and you're going to have to find a way to finance that. The cost of operating it, relatively speaking, is low. So your investment has been made in a fixed investment in the building and the facilities and what have you. And the operating side of it is actually fairly low relative to the high fixed expense of it. So anyway, that's what operating leverage is. And then when we talk about financial leverage, it's really having to do with how extensive we can bring on debt. Back in the good old 80s, a lot of companies realized they had more capacity for financial leverage than they gave themselves credit for. And in some cases, management teams, for example, saw that there was an opportunity to leverage the firm to actually buy it from the existing shareholders. So, but they'd take on more debt and leverage the firm, and those were called leverage buyouts. Now, what's important about that is there is a point where you can go too far, and when things go south on you, and you're highly leveraged, you're in a much faster path to bankruptcy than you are if you didn't have that amount of leverage. So take a look at what financial leverage is, and then combined leverage is basically taking into account the use of both the fixed assets of the firm and the debt. Both those things matter. So and they come into play when we talk about the combined leverage of the firm, and that we should know that by increasing leverage, we do increase our potential for profit, but we also greatly increase the risk of failure. So leverage is a very important concept. It's used legitimately and appropriately at almost any enterprise, and so it's not a bad word that sometimes people make it that it connotes. But having said that, you do have to manage it very carefully, and you're going to understand that by the time you're done with the chapter. So good luck with the homework. I think you'll do fine with it. If you have any questions or anything comes up, please let me know. The sooner the better. And again, I'll remind you, if you need to ask me a question about any of this, the best thing for you to do is send me an email in D2L. Use the D2L email. And give me 3 times when you can meet. I'll set up a Google Meet session, and we'll connect and get whatever questions you have worked out. Okay? So, best of luck for this week, and let me know if you have any questions.